Please stand if you are able and welcome winners of 13 Grammy Awards and the biggest selling U.S. female group of all time, the Chicks.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at
my
the
chat's not working on screen. Can everybody hear me?
Who
I can see
brought
chat off screen.
stripes and bright
Of course, nothing's
stars
gonna work tonight.
through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
There we go.
Please welcome Kerry Washington.
Welcome to the final night of the Democratic National Convention. The last 3 nights have been extraordinary, and tonight we hear from our next president, Kamala Harris. Now, as I stand here, I know that there are folks on social media already saying, go back to your TV show, shut up and act. But I am not here tonight as
Yes,
an
please do
actor. I am here as a mother, as a daughter, as a proud union member. I am here as the granddaughter of immigrants, as a black woman descended from enslaved people. I am here tonight because I am an American and because I am a voter and because we, the people, are stronger when all our voices are heard. Look, I know that I am the one standing on this stage, but I am not the lead character in this story. You are. All of you. You are the messengers. You are the fixers. Dare I say it, you are the Olivia Popes. You are the superheroes saving this democracy. It is you, not me, who have the greatest power to convince your loved ones to vote. So, just like Michelle Obama told us, let's do something. Let's make a video. Everybody take out your phones. Everybody take out your phones. We're gonna make a moment. Can somebody bring me my phone? I want to capture this historic moment and share it with the people that we love. Oh, what'd you do? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna take this video go, guys. We're all gonna take it together. We're gonna post it to social media, text your friends, send this message out into the world. When I say when we fight, you're gonna say? Are you ready? Okay, let's record. We're recording. You ready, Tony?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, ready? When we fight! When we fight! When we fight! Are you ready for Kamala Harris to win? Good, because when Kamala wins, America wins. We did it! We did it, Joe! Thank you, Tony.
I don't get to stay?
No, you gotta go.
Bye, everybody.
Tony Goldwyn, ladies and gentlemen! Okay, so listen. It's come to my attention that there are some folks who struggle or pretend to struggle with the proper pronunciation of our future president's name. So, hear me out. Confusion is understandable. Disrespect is not. So tonight, we are going to help everyone get it right. Here to help me are some very special guests. Thank you, ladies. Can you tell us your names?
Hello, everybody. My name's Amara. And my name is Leela, her little sister.
And what are you here to do?
To teach you how to say your auntie's name.
Okay, so how do you pronounce it?
First, you say comma like a comma in a sentence. Then you say la like la 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 la.
Put it together, and it's 1, 2, 3.
Have there been any white people
Kamala.
on this?
All right,
thing
so
at all
let's
today-
practice.
tonight?
Let's practice.
Everybody over here say comma.
Come on.
Everybody over here say la.
Together. For president! For
Please welcome Mina Harris, Ella Emhoff, and Helen Hudlin.
The theme of making sure we do ours. That just makes me want to say it
Hi.
even more.
I'm Mina.
I'm Ella.
And I'm Helena. I grew up in Oakland, California, in a house full of extraordinary women. My mom, my grandma, and my auntie, who showed me the meaning of service, helping her sister, a 17-year-old single mom, fighting for justice for the American people, and still cooking Sunday family dinner. She guided me, now she's guiding my own children, and I know she'll guide our country forward.
Kamala came into my life when I was 14. Famously a very easy time for a teenager. Like a lot of young people, I didn't always understand what I was feeling. But no matter what, Kamala was there for me. She was patient, caring, and always took me seriously. She's never stopped listening to me, and she's not gonna stop listening to all of us.
Kamala Harris is my godmother. To me, her advice means everything. Whether it's pursuing my passions, making an impact, or finding hope when the world doesn't feel so hopeful. She taught me that making a difference means giving your whole heart and taking action.
She's fighting for economic opportunity, LGBTQ plus equality, and reproductive freedom, because we are not going back.
She's fighting for social justice, health justice, environmental justice, and she isn't alone. We're all in this fight together.
So let's keep up the fight. Let's keep up the joy.
And let's elect this extraordinary woman as our next president.
Please welcome actor and comedian D.L. Hughley.
Hey now, hey Chicago, how y'all doing? What's happening, California? Now, wait, where those AKAs at? Where they at? You know what? In 3 months, ain't gonna be no living with y'all. I can tell you this, I don't blame Donald Trump for not wanting to debate Kamala. I've been married to a black woman for 40 years and I ain't won one debate. I'm owing $93,000. Now, of course, Trump is saying that Kamala isn't black. I guarantee you this, Kamala's been black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican. And if he keeps sliding in the polls the way he is, the only way he can keep Kamala out of the White House is if he buys it and refuses to rent it to her. Of course, Kamala's getting broad support. They got black men for Kamala, white men for Kamala, Latinos and Asians for Kamala. They even have Republicans for Kamala. Republicans for Kamala. I guess Donald Trump will finally know what it's like when you get left for a younger woman. But seriously, Kamala knows the truth about the American dream, that hard work is not enough. Hard work alone is not enough to succeed. That you need access and information and opportunity. And she knows that some folks are often denied those very things. As president, she will give each and every one of us a fair shot in life. But I have to admit, I didn't always believe that. I mean, if you told me the 15-year-old me would be on stage supporting a prosecutor and a teacher, there is no way that I would have believed you. But because of that, I made assumptions about Kamala's record. And I often repeated them to a lot of people. Then one day, Kamala invited me to her house. She put her hand on my shoulder and she asked me to do some research. Something I had never done. Something a lot of people I know had never done before. Imagine attacking someone's character without a single Google search. So I did what I should have done in the first place. I learned that she had done for us exactly what she promised to. I believe that your apology should be as loud as your accusation, and I'm here apologizing in front of the whole damn world. I was wrong, and I'm so very glad I was wrong because, Kamala, you give me hope for the future, a future where my grandchildren, Nola and Stevie, had the freedom to control their own bodies, where they have the opportunity to go as far as their wits and their talents would take them.
How much do you think
that future, ladies and gentlemen, is possible, but only if we elect Kamala Harris as the 47th President of the United States of America. I will say this to you. The best piece of advice I've ever gotten in my entire life is you don't have to know what you will do, just know what you won't. And we won't go back.
They seem very sure of themselves when they say, we won't go back. Here's YouTube shutting me
The
down.
energy in this room is electric. And you can feel it everywhere, all over the country. In the coming weeks, I want us to find ways to maintain this energy and this joy and this commitment, because there will be days when the work ahead seems impossible. And when that happens, I know what I do. I get involved. I get engaged. I ask myself, how can I be of service to my community? Because community is why we do this. Am I right? Yes, we do this for our children, for our parents, for our teachers and care workers who treat our loved ones like their own. We do this for working families who make this country thrive. We do this for the planet and for each other. We do this for justice and for peace and for democracy. And as we are about to hear, we do this for the safety of our communities.
Please welcome Genesee County, Michigan Sheriff Chris Swanson.
My job is to protect people, all people. In 2020, righteous anger spilled over into the streets of Flint, Michigan. One bad decision from either side, and there would have been bloodshed. But that didn't happen. We laid down our riot gear, and we embraced the community, and instead of hate, we chose hope.
This guy looks like to me he'd rather be an actor than a cop. He's trying
On January
out for
6th,
Hollywood
the opposite occurred.
movie
That
or
day
something.
was paved with division, deceit, and denigration. Police officers were attacked that day. It could have been stopped.
This guy.
We need a leader who will embody what's affixed to all three sides of my sheriff patrol cars: protect, serve, and unify.
BLM, you can do it though.
Kamala Harris
This guy is way
that
too
leader.
animated to be taken seriously at all.
As a prosecutor, Kamala Harris protected us by putting violent criminals
This whole
and
night
sex
I've been
offenders
listening to
behind
this on the way
bars.
home.
If I was in a
Talking about what a
courtroom, she's exactly the tough
Wonderful
prosecutor that I'd want to see.
She was.
As vice president, she served America
They talk about
by keeping us safe.
sex offenders, especially.
And I can testify firsthand where I
And
come
there's just
from,
case after case.
crime is down and police funding is up. As president, Kamala Harris will unify our country. She will bring us together because our country needs a leader
They should bring up
who will
a
go
guy by the
toe-to-toe
name of Terrence Hallinan.
with drug cartels and bullies. One who has already taken the oath, raised her right hand to advocate for the people. I can tell you in 2020, we were able to turn a protest into a peaceful movement by walking together. One city, one community, and one country. America, let's walk. Let's walk. Let's walk together and let's elect Kamala Harris and turn hate
this
into
guy's
hope
crazy.
yet again. Thank you.
What a nut. Go pump some iron, take some roids, pal.
We were contemplating adopting.
At least they have a white guy up there.
Out of nowhere, I got pregnant. Jordan was so much fun as a child.
When all of a sudden...
Oh my God, somebody's shooting!
3 of those rounds he aimed at Jordan. Jordan didn't deserve to die that way.
Reports of an active shooter at a high school.
These students have now lived through so many of these shootings since they were born almost.
We were praying and crying. I don't know how we're alive.
an active shooter at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Multiple children have been killed.
Most of the body is so mutilated that only DNA test or green Converse could identify.
Trump did nothing on guns and was proud of it.
There was great pressure on me. We did nothing.
After a mass shooting in Iowa, Trump said,
I have to get over it.
"You never get over it." Kamala Harris and Joe Biden refused to get over it. As district attorney, she got illegal guns off the street. As Attorney General, she took on transnational crime rings and stopped gun trafficking. As Vice President, she helped pass the most sweeping gun violence legislation in 3 decades, keeping guns out of the hands of criminals, expanding background checks, closing loopholes.
We'll finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Kamala understands the fight we're in.
The power is with the people.
And gives people like me, survivors like me, hope.
Guns away from
It gives people like me, survivors like me.
The criminals will never give them guns away.
When I worked for Every Town
Please
for
welcome
Gun Safety.
Georgia Representative Lucy McBath.
When I worked for Every Town for Gun Safety.
Georgia Representative.
When I worked for Every Town for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, I saw firsthand the power of telling our stories. You've just heard mine, but there are many more to tell.
On December 14th, 2012, I walked into Sandy Hook School. I stopped at the office, chatted with my principal, then started my day with my second graders. Suddenly, a loud crash, like metal folding chairs falling. 154 gunshots blaring. Hiding in the coats, trying to sing with my students, trying to read to them, trying to drown out the sounds. Terror, crying, running. I carry that horrific day with me. 20 beautiful first grade children and 6 of my beautiful colleagues were killed. They should still be here.
It's 10:30 a.m. at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. The school is recognizing my 10-year-old daughter, Lexi, for receiving all A's. She receives a Good Citizen Award, and we pose for photos. She wears a St. Mary's sweatshirt and a smile that lights up the room. 30 minutes later, a gunman murders her, 18 classmates, and 2 teachers. We are taken to a private room where police tell us she isn't coming home. Uvalde is national news. Parents everywhere reach for their children. I reach out for the daughter I will never hold again.
My niece, Sandy Patrice, was 22. She drove to Myrtle Beach for sun and fun and motorcycle parades. Hours later, my phone rang. Shooting on the beach. No one can find Sandy. I stayed calm. You see, my mother, Patricia Ann, had been shot and killed by an abusive partner. I was calm then too. I got to handling business. I called relatives, the police, hospitals, and I kept calling, voice steady, heartbeat pulsing. Then I was connected to the coroner. 10 years of waiting, and Sandy's murder is still unsolved. I'll keep calling, and I'll keep fighting.
I was in high school when my classmate got shot. It changed my story. Instead of worrying about taking a test, I started worrying about living to take another test. They say schools are for learning, and I did learn a lot that day. I learned how to run, how to hide and drop, that what happens in the news can happen to me. But I learned something else too, that we can write and must write a new story if we choose to.
Are stories of loss. But make no mistake, our losses do not weaken us. They strengthen our resolve. We will secure safer futures that we all deserve. We will organize. We will advocate. We will run for office. And we will join with Americans from small towns and big cities to keep our communities safe. And we will elect leaders like Kamala Harris, who won't just empathize, but will act.
Please welcome former Arizona Representative Gabby Giffords.
I was born in the great state of Arizona! I was born with grit. I grew up racing motorcycles, mucking stalls, and exploring the beautiful desert. I fell for an astronaut. For 5 years, I served in Congress from a swing district. Everybody called me a rising star. Then on January 8th, 2011, a man tried to assassinate me. He shot 19 people. He killed 6. Terrible, terrible day. I almost died, but I fought for my life and I survived. I learned to walk again, one step at a time. I learned to talk again, one word at a time. So many people helped me as I worked hard to recover, including a decent man for Delaware who always checked in. He still does. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for everything. Joe is a great president. My friend Kamala will be a great president. She is tough. She has grit. Kamala can beat the gun lobby. She can fight gun trafficking. Kamala stood up to Wall Street and the drug company. She will protect abortion access. She will defend our freedom. She saved lives. Join me in voting for Kamala Harris. Bravo! Thank you.
This is not about trying to protect anybody. All of this is to take away guns from law-abiding citizens so they can take us all over and institute communism.
Don't know why, but I feel like
and this is because there is no law enforcement.
I had the honor of meeting Vice President Harris when I got to introduce her when she spoke at my high school about gun violence.
Parkland happened, and all I could think about is that I wanted to keep my kids safe.
On July 4th, 2022, I was next in line to walk in Highland Park Independence Day Parade when gunshots erupted. 7 people were shot and killed, and 48 more were injured.
Vice President Harris has been a gun sense champion since she was our California AG.
We have 2 options in November. We have Kamala Harris, who has already proven her leadership in the Biden-Harris administration. They passed the first ever comprehensive gun reform in 30 years. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has cozied up to the NRA and the gun lobby.
I have full confidence in Vice President Harris that she's dedicated to and committed to finding a solution to end gun violence.
This freedom thing is so ridiculous, too. There's nothing about freedom in a Democratic Party.
Please welcome 3-time Grammy-winning singer-songwriter and global pop icon, Pink.
Keep preaching, Mean James. I'm convinced that Pink is a dude.
searchlights we can see in the dark. We are rockets pointed up at the stars.
We are billions of beautiful hearts.
You sold us down the river too far. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answer? What about us?
What about all the broken happy ever afters?
Oh, what about us? What about all the plans that ended in disaster? What about love? What about trust? What about us? We have problems that want to be solved.
We are children that need to be loved.
We were willing, we came when you called. But man, you fooled us. Enough is enough. Oh, at the answer. What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disaster? What about love? What about trust? What about us? Sticks and stones, they may break these bones, but then I'll be ready. Are you ready? I don't want control, I want to let go. I'll be ready. Now it's time to let them know. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? So what about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disaster? What about love? What about trust? What about us? What about us? What about us? What about us?
What about you?
Global security and global prosperity depend on the leadership of the United States of America. And a strong America remains indispensable to the world. Our democratic ideals of freedom and liberty inspire billions, and our military is the strongest in the world. Our military is a force that underwrites global stability and our national security.
Please welcome Arizona Senator Mark Kelly.
Hello, Chicago. Hello, Democrats. So, President Obama had to follow Michelle. I had to follow Gabby and Pink. Gabby amazes me every single day. She was able to walk out and address you tonight because she's a fighter. And thanks to a team of doctors, nurses, and especially her speech therapist. We all need a team. I've flown into space 4 times. I've flown into combat nearly 40 times. Not once did I do that by myself. It took a team to accomplish a mission. It always does. I flew in the Navy during the first Gulf War. America rallied our allies to kick out a tyrant who invaded a neighbor. Today, Vladimir Putin is testing whether we're still that strong. Iran, North Korea, and especially China watch closely. What's Trump's answer? He invited Russia to do, and these are his words, not mine, whatever the hell they want. Vice President Harris has always championed America's support for NATO, for Ukraine, and for the Ukrainian people. On the Senate Intelligence Committee, she investigated Russian interference in our election. She defends free and fair elections everywhere. You already know how Trump feels about those. Donald Trump skipped his intelligence briefings. He was too busy sucking up to dictators and dreaming of becoming one himself. Trump thinks that Americans who have made the ultimate sacrifice are suckers and losers. If we fall for that again and make him the commander-in-chief, the only suckers would be us. Kamala Harris knows that standing with our allies means standing up for Americans. She'll keep modernizing our military to support our troops and to support our veterans like our next Vice President, Tim Walz. The world laughs at Trump, literally. But folks, it is not funny. When he was president, that meant the world was laughing at us. The threats we face are too serious. The sacrifices our service members make are too sacred. The alliances we've spent decades building are too critical. That's what's at stake now. And the choice isn't even close. But in Arizona and nationwide, this election will be. We'll win in the same way we launch rockets into space and land fighter jets on an aircraft carrier as one team on one mission. State by state, voter by voter, coming together. No country is better than ours at solving big problems. So, on November 5th, let's prove that America is still the leader the world needs today by electing the leader we need right now, Kamala Harris. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Please welcome former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta.
My fellow Americans, I'm proud to have served in the Army, the Congress, the White House, Chief of Staff, CIA Director, and Secretary of Defense. I've looked into the eyes of our warriors and deployed them into battle. I gave the order directing our Special Operations Forces to fly 2 helicopters 150 miles into Abbottabad at night And by the time the sun rose, Osama bin Laden was dead. Because nobody attacks our country and gets away with it. Nobody. That's what our warriors do. That's what our warriors do. Our warriors need a tough, cool-headed commander-in-chief to defend our democracy from tyrants and terrorists. We need Kamala Harris behind the resolute desk. She knows a tyrant when she sees one. And our allies know a leader when they see one. On the Senate Intelligence Committee and as Vice President, she worked with more than 150 world leaders. She's looked our allies in the eye and said, America has your back. Trump would abandon our allies and isolate America. We tried that in the 1930s. It was foolish and dangerous then, and it's foolish and dangerous now. Listen to President Reagan. President Reagan. Isolationism never was and never will be an acceptable response to tyrannical governments. Never. Trump tells tyrants like Putin they can do whatever the hell they want. Kamala Harris tells tyrants, the hell you can, not on my watch. She's worked with President Zelensky to fight back against Russia. She knows that protecting their democracy protects our democracy as well. Look, Donald Trump does not understand the world, and he does not understand the service and sacrifice of our military.
You're right.
Our fallen veterans
the Democratic Party is
are
the war
not
party.
Suckers.
During
they
Trump,
are not
never had
losers.
any wars.
They are our heroes.
Trump doesn't understand that the purpose of being in office is to make sure
Kamala
that plenty of
Harris
wars are going on.
will honor our veterans. And in Tim Walz, we will have a vice president who has served in uniform honorably for 24 years. Kamala Harris understands this moment. It is a moment of danger and a moment of opportunity. She'll keep America's military the strongest in the world, the strongest ever known.
To support the show.
And she understands what our military is for. The role of our military is to defend us from foreign enemies. It is not to threaten Americans, and it sure as hell isn't to put immigrants in camps.
And you help support the show.
Every president since World War II, Republican and Democrat, has shared the belief that America must protect democracy in the world. Every president has honored our veterans and their sacrifices. Every president, but one. So we face a critical choice: to vote for someone who stands with our military and stands up for democracy, or someone who will disrespect our heroes and undermine our democracy. My fellow Americans, there is only one choice. One choice. And let me tell you something. When she takes her oath of office, as she will this January, our allies will cheer, our enemies will fear, and we will have a commander-in-chief that we can trust. God bless our veterans, and God bless our country.
Please welcome Arizona Representative Ruben Gallego.
I'm a dad, husband, congressman, and the proudest Arizonan you'll ever meet. But I am even prouder to be a Marine. Rah! My mom raised us alone on a secretary's salary. I slept on the floor. I worked every job I could: meat packing, construction, making pizzas. I made it to Harvard with no money or connections. Other kids were happy because they were at Harvard. I was happy because I finally had a mattress. Then I enlisted, fought alongside my brothers with Lima 325 in Iraq. They called us Lucky Lima, but our luck ran out. We saw some of the heaviest combat of the war. And when we got home, the government failed to help us readjust. We have a duty to care for our patriots who serve our nation. For the Vietnam veteran in Buckeye who relies on the VA for his medication. For the Afghan veteran in Pittsburgh who finally got treatment for his PTSD. For the Marine in Milwaukee who relies on the benefits she earned. For my Navajo brothers and sisters who serve the Marines with me, I remember you too. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are fighting for them. Kamala Harris has delivered more benefits to more veterans than ever before, and has achieved the lowest veterans unemployment rate in history. Vice President Harris has stood up for us and our families always. Tim Walz served for 24 years. His passion for veterans earned him respect on both sides of the aisle, and he stands with us too. In fact, let me introduce you to some of the many Democrats who understand what service means, because we put country over politics. We were proud to wear the uniform, and we're proud serving our countries in city halls, state capitals, the U.S. House, and the Senate. These veterans represent the best of our country. We stand united as veterans, Democrats, and patriots to fight for everyone who serves. But politicians like Donald Trump, they don't stand with us. They call patriots like Senator McCain losers. John McCain was an American hero. Show some respect. Trump's Project 2025 will slash veteran benefits and force VA hospitals to close across the nation. Show some respect. So, for the 18-year-old who decides to enlist, for the families like mine who prayed every night that their loved one would come home, for our troops stationed thousands of miles away, For my Marines of Lima Company, let's elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who don't just respect our service, but revere it. Because the veterans who defended this country aren't just the reason we can sleep at night. They're the reason we can dream. And together, we'll fight for our veterans and everyone who served our country. Thank you.
Please welcome Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh God. You know, there are millions upon millions, I'm sure, of vets that would say the complete opposite.
I'm Governor Gretchen
It's amazing
Whitmer.
they got any of those people to get up on stage.
In Lansing, they call me Governor. But in Detroit, they call me Big Gretch.
This is the biggest scumbag on the planet. Next to
Donald
Nancy
Trump
Pelosi.
called me that woman from Michigan as an insult. Being a woman from Michigan is a badge of honor. Like women across America, we just GSD. Get stuff done. At 29, I joined the sandwich generation. Sandwiched between working and raising my newborn and caring for my mom, who was dying from brain cancer. It was hard, but not extraordinary. It's life. Those nights reminded me who I was fighting for. People just trying to make it. Kamala Harris knows who she's fighting for, too. She took care of her mom, who also battled cancer. As president, she'll fight to lower the cost of health care and elder care for every family. She's lived a life like ours. She knows us. Donald Trump doesn't know you at all. You think he understands that when your car breaks down, you can't get to work? No. His first word was probably chauffeur. You think he's ever had to take items out of the cart before checking out? Hell, you think he's ever been to a grocery store? That's what the chauffeur is for. But Kamala Harris, she gets us. She sees us. She is us. Look, we've all lived through a lot of history over the past few years. Floods and fires, an attempted coup, a plot, and a pandemic. It's exhausting. We don't know what the next 4 years will bring. But what we do know is this. Through it all, your life won't stop. You're going to have to get to work. pick up the kids and pay your bills. And then one day, when you're just trying to get everyone out the door, a news alert goes off. Something happened. Something hit the fan. You'll ask, is my family going to be okay? And then you'll ask, who the hell is in charge? What if it's him?
It's not Biden.
What?
It's not Biden.
What if it's that man from Mar-a-Lago? I know, in a crisis, we need someone strong enough to come up with a plan, to tell the truth, and to bring people together. Right now, before the crisis, is when we get to choose. Why wouldn't we choose the leader who's tough, tested, and a total badass? I know who I want as our commander-in-chief. America, let's choose Kamala Harris.
Please welcome actress, director, and philanthropist, Eva Longoria.
Yeah, so first of all, she went up to her lake house while everybody else had to lock down during COVID. So there's that. Yeah, she's just a mean-spirited, just bitch. And yeah, I didn't know both her parents are lawyers. And no one's really been held accountable for the plot that she calls it, with as many of those people were FBI informants. But again, it blows my mind that people will continue in Michigan will continue to vote for her and put her in office, especially after. I mean, the bottom line is what she did during COVID. While she goes and sends her husband to get the boat ready at the lake house, while everybody else has to lock down. I mean, it's similar to what Gavin Newsom did. That's all you need to know of the type of person that she is. She should never hold public office. She should have a job sweeping floors or flipping burgers, and that's about it. She is one of the worst human beings on the planet, next to a Nancy Pelosi. And there probably aren't a lot of people who want to watch this stuff. The DNC, especially on like Rumble and Odyssey and even BitChute, but it's even worse on YouTube. But it's not. I don't think it's because of the people, but YouTube. I'll tell you what, man, it is unbelievable how bad it is. I mean, at one point, I think I don't even know what to say with BitChute too, because I had 1,500 at one point early on when I first started going live on BitChute, and all of a sudden it's back down again. So I don't know how to read any of this stuff. And Twitter, the same thing. It would be way up. It's all over the place. Yeah, but yeah, I guess I'm just curious to see, what we're looking at when it comes to the types of people, what their strategy is going to be, and it looks like they're taking pages out of the GOP's playbook and trying to really kind of copy a lot of stuff of what the GOP is doing, freedom and everything else. They've really toned down a lot of the crazy rhetoric, but they certainly they've done a very good job of being anti-white, that's for sure. I mean, it's surprising to me that they even have Tim Walz Balls on as a running mate.
Into action between now and November 5th. Let's go. She se puede. She se puede.
And everything is anti-white. Everything is about everybody else outside the country. coming in, know nothing about Native Americans or anything about us, or like, hey, let's help you.
Please welcome former Illinois Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger.
Accepting the fact that this is number 3.
Hey, good evening.
And the worst human beings on the planet. And has blocked me, by the way.
Thank you. I'm Adam Kinzinger, and I am proud to be in the trenches with you.
Yeah, I used to be on.
As
I used to get
part of
on
this
Google, but they found
sometimes
me and shut me
awkward
down.
alliance that we have to defend truth, defend democracy, and decency. I was just a kid when I was drawn to the party of Ronald Reagan, to his vision of a strong America, the shining city on a hill. I was a Republican
I actually like
for
Walz
12
better
years
than
in
I do
Congress, and I still hold
JD
on to the
Vance,
label.
believe it or not.
I never thought I'd be
He's
here,
more
but
likable
listen,
than JD Vance
you
is.
never thought you'd see me here, did you? But I've learned something about the Democratic Party, and I want to let my fellow Republicans in on the secret.
Why don't you just become a
The
Democrat?
Democrats are as patriotic as us.
This guy is not a Republican.
They love this country just as much as we do. And they are as eager to defend American values at home and abroad as we
Adam
conservatives have ever been.
He was one of the J6 committee. I mean, he's a traitor.
I was relieved to discover
the country,
that
and
because
he's a traitor to the
I've
Republican
learned something about my party too. Something I couldn't ignore. The Republican Party is no longer conservative. It has switched its allegiance from the principles that gave it purpose to a man whose only purpose is himself. Donald Trump is a weak man pretending to be strong.
Adam Kinzinger is the weakest of the weak.
He is a small man pretending to be big. He's a faithless man pretending to be righteous. He's a perpetrator who can't stop playing the victim. He puts on, listen, he puts on quite a show, but there is no real strength there. As a conservative and a veteran, I believe true strength lies in defending the vulnerable. It's in protecting your family. It's in standing up for our Constitution and our democracy.
They're both
that
traitors as well.
That is the soul of being
Liz
a conservative.
Cheney, I mean, she
it
got
used
voted
to
out.
be
And
the
this is
soul
the nice thing.
of being a Republican.
Kinzinger got voted out, and so
But
did
Donald
Liz Cheney.
Trump has suffocated the soul of the Republican Party.
They literally went off a cliff, and it was a beautiful
His
walk.
fundamental weakness has coursed through my party like an illness, sapping our strength, softening our spine,
There's something
whipping us into a fever
they
that has
have on you.
untethered us from our values. Our democracy was frayed by the events of
He is
January
compromised
6th,
somehow. These
as
people
Donald
are
Trump's
compromised.
deceit and dishonor led to a siege on the United States Capitol. That day, I stood witness to a profound sorrow, the desecration of our sacred tradition of peaceful transition of power, tarnished by a man too fragile, too vain, and too weak to accept defeat. How can a party claim to be patriotic if it idolizes a man who tried to overthrow a free and fair election? How can a party claim to stand for liberty if it sees a fight for freedom in Ukraine, an attack pitting tyranny against democracy, a challenge to everything our nation claims to be, and it retreats, it equivocates, it nominates a man who is weirdly obsessed with Putin, and his running mate who said, quote, "I don't care what happens in Ukraine." Yeah, and he wants to be vice president. Yeah. How can a party claim to be conservative when it tarnishes the gifts that our forebears fought for. Men like my grandfather, who served in World War II, who believed in a cause bigger than himself, and he risked his life for it behind enemy lines. To preserve American democracy, his generation found the courage to face down armies. Listen, all we're asked to do is to summon the courage to stand up to one weak man. Some have questioned why I've taken the stand I have. The answer is really simple, ladies and gentlemen. We must put country first. And tonight, as a Republican speaking before you, I'm putting our country first. Because the fact is, I do belong here. I know Kamala Harris shares my allegiance to the rule of law, the Constitution, and democracy. And she is dedicated to upholding all three in service to our country. Whatever policies we disagree on pale in comparison with those fundamental matters of principle, of decency, and of fidelity to this nation. Listen, to my fellow Republicans, if you still pledge allegiance to those principles, I suspect you belong here too. Because democracy knows no party. It's a living, breathing ideal that defines us as a nation. It's the bedrock that separates us from tyranny, and when that foundation is fractured, we must all stand together, united, to strengthen it. If you think those principles are worth defending, then I urge you, make the right choice. Vote for our bedrock values, and vote for Kamala Harris. God bless you.
I would say he should be removed from Congress, but he already was. He was voted out, so he doesn't count for anything.
Please welcome lawyer, policy advocate, and sister of the Vice President, Maya Harris.
Hello, Chicago. In 1958, a 19-year-old from India left the only country she'd ever known to chart her own path in America. She came here to pursue an education, but she stayed here to build a life. Her name was Dr. Shamala Gopalan Harris.
And Romney, what a scumbag he turned out to be, huh? And Romney is very
But we called her Mommy.
Kinzinger.
Mommy was so many things to so many people. A civil rights activist, a scientist, a devoted mother to her two little girls. But most of all, Mommy was a trailblazer who defied the odds and defined herself. And when it came to Kamala and me, Mommy had great expectations for us, but she had even greater expectations of us. She raised us to believe that we could be and do anything. And we believed her. You see, Mommy understood the power and the possibility that come with knowing and showing who you truly are.
Am I hearing this right?
She knew we could be the authors of our own stories, just as she'd been the author of her own. Mommy's journey and the opportunity that she wanted for Kamala and me, that's a distinctly American story. We may all have different histories, different struggles, or different perspectives, but what binds us together is the fervent desire to be free, to fulfill our God-given potential. Kamala's entire life has been about fighting for each of us to have that freedom. And like so many Americans, Kamala knows what it's like to be underestimated and be counted out. She knows what it's like to be the underdog and yet still beat the odds. And now, she has created so much electricity, so much optimism, so much joy throughout the nation, and it is why we need her leadership in this historic moment. We are living in a time when some are trying to divide us, to separate us in ways that make it difficult for us to come together. Well, look, my sister rejects that view. Where others push darkness, Kamala sees promise. Where others feel detachment, Kamala fosters connection. Where others want to drag us back to the past, my sister says, hold up now, we are not going back. Because Kamala understands we have so much more in common than what separates us. She knows the measure of our success isn't just winning an election. It's about who we bring along and lift up in the process. And so as I look out at all of you today and take in this incredible moment, I so wish that Mommy could be here tonight. I can just see her smiling, saying how proud she is of Kamala. And then, without missing a beat, she say, that's enough, you got work to do. She would tell all of us to roll up our sleeves and get to work, to elect a leader who sees the potential in each of us, a leader who cares for all of us, a leader who fights for every one of us. Our Democratic nominee, my big sister, the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Please welcome North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
By the way, Kamala's mother, or Kamala, he was, Willie Brown, when she was dating Willie Brown, he was like 60 at the time, and she was 29. And her mother defended her daughter's decision and offered choice comments about Brown. She said, why shouldn't she have gone out with Willie Brown? He was a player. And what could Willie Brown expect from her in the future? He has not much life left. That's Kamala Harris's mom.
Homeowners. Hundreds of thousands were losing their homes to illegal foreclosure. I was Attorney General in North Carolina, while Kamala had just become California's. All the AGs were close to a settlement with the big banks, and it was a pretty good deal. Would have meant $4 billion for California families who'd been ripped off. I know that sounds like a lot, but Kamala said, hang on a minute. I've met these families. I know what they've been through, and they deserve more.
And I just love the sisters.
She went toe-to-toe with some of the world's most powerful executives.
I mean, this is how fake these people are.
And she refused to give in. Let me tell you, this was a huge risk. but she knew it was a risk worth taking.
They keep talking about Kamala Harris going after
and
helping
we all know
homeowners.
what happened.
I don't know of anybody that went to jail that was
that $4 billion for California families
were CEOs of
became
any of these
$20
companies,
billion.
banks.
That was the first time I witnessed Kamala in action. And what I saw was a leader who does exactly what she says she's going to do, who never will settle for less. America, we got a lot of big fights ahead of us, and we've got one hell of a fighter ready to take them on. I know that because I know her. And tonight, I want the American people to know, even if you don't agree with her on everything, Kamala Harris will fight for you to the very end.
This whole thing
for families who need better health care or a safer place to live. Kamala will fight for you. For parents who want better schools for their kids. For workers worried about a secure retirement for themselves.
But they're
Kamala
creating this
will
thing that
fight
she's had this
for
huge
you.
political career that can all of a
For
sudden
any
catapult
one of
her
our
to president
allies,
of the United States
anywhere in the world,
without
wondering
winning a
if
primary.
America still has your back, remember this. Kamala will fight
I gotta hand
for
it to him.
you.
He really did put something
And
together
when she fights,
rather quickly.
we win. Kamala's ready. Kamala's ready. The question is, are we?